Let's start with introductions. We'll start on this side of the floor. Todd. You're up, Doc.
Okay, my name is Todd Floyd. I served in the United States Marine Corps from 1979 to 1983. Most of my time in the United States, some in Korea, some in Okinawa. Communications was my primary MOS. My secondary MOS was a door gunner on a helicopter.
Our other Mr. Floyd.
My name is David Floyd, retired Master Chief out of the Navy for 29 years. Joined in 1957 and retired in 1986. Served on several different ships, but I see a bunch of questions coming up that will address that.
My name is David Flock. I was in the Army from 1968 to 1971. And I served on stateside, and I also served a year in Vietnam.
Earl Estes, and I was
Army Air Force.
Army Air Corps or Force, I don't know what they call it. They changed it to Air Force later on. And I was in the 8th Air Force, based in England. Flew on the B-24, belly gunner. And were there a serial number and stuff like that?
No, that's okay. We'll get around to the rest of the
Okay.
questions.
That's about it. Well, I was in about 6 months in Korean deal too.
Korean War.
Yeah, but I didn't have to go overseas. I was in
Okay. And I am Master Sergeant Michael D. Williams, United States Air Force Security Forces, retired. And I'll get to the next question. While the camera's on me, it says, how long did you serve? I was in for 24 years, from 1975 to 1999, when I retired. You already said how long you was in.
1943 to 45.
I was in the Army 1968, 1971.
I was in the Navy from 1957 to 1986.
I was in the Marine Corps from 1979 to 1983.
Did you serve in any wars? If so, which ones?
I served mostly during the Cold War. There was a conflict in Grenada. And the barracks in Lebanon was blown up with some of my friends in it.
And that next question is, did you serve during any wars? I was in from 1957 through 1986. So there were several conflicts or wars. I did not see, service on the ground in any of them. I was usually on a ship or in an airplane.
I served in Vietnam for 1 year, from June of 69 to June of 70. I was a military policeman, and I mainly escorted convoys from up to the DMZ, to the military zone, to the fire bases.
I served from 1943 to 1945 in the 8th Air Force. And
Which wars did you serve in?
World War II, and then, like I said again, in 1951 for a while, for the Korean deal. I didn't have to go overseas.
And the only war I served during was Desert Storm, and I was deployed to Saudi Arabia during that conflict. Next question. Why did you enlist?
Why did you enlist?
I enlisted because I saw the troops returning from Vietnam being mistreated, and it made me mad. So I took it out on the recruiter, and I went down and enlisted as soon as I turned 18. Why did you enlist?
Oh, I was drafted, I didn't enlist.
I was due to get drafted, so I enlisted on a delayed entry program so I could stay home for my sister's wedding. So it cost me a year.
I enlisted at the age of 17 because I had a couple of my favorite uncles were in the Navy, and some of my other uncles were in the Army. And I decided I would rather sleep in a bunk on a ship than in a foxhole.
I preferred the foxhole. Family tradition, uncles. I even have an aunt that was in the Navy. Great-great-great-grandfather served with Illinois 109th Infantry during the Civil War. It's a family tradition, and I was glad to uphold it.
Next one is,
Do you have any favorite memories while you were in?
Probably during peacetime service overseas. There was quite a bit of time off because we weren't in a conflict or anything, so we got to go out and do a lot on liberty, and I got to see a lot of the world that a lot of the other people don't. Got to see Hawaii, Alaska, Okinawa, Korea, and a whole lot of California, like it or not.
I really don't have any special memories of any of it, but I think that I enjoyed most is to see all parts of the world. Different countries, different societies, and experiencing culture shock in some of our third world countries. Well, I am thankful for it all.
I don't necessarily have a standout favorite memory, other than, like I said, meeting a lot of different people and making a lot of friends that I still communicate with today. And probably when I came back home to St. Louis, when I came home from Vietnam, was seeing my parents and my girlfriend, and thanking God that I made it home.
Well, the thing that I remember the best and was when I rode on the Queen Elizabeth and going overseas and coming back on it. It was about 1,100 feet long, the ship was. And that was quite a ride. It's been a while.
I think a lot of my favorite memories is when we picked up our family and traveled to different countries when we were deployed overseas.
Where are some of the different places you've been stationed?
Oh, goodness. Offutt Air Force Base, Nebraska is where I started. Went to Keesler Air Force Base in Mississippi. We went to Bitburg Air Base in Germany after that. I was stationed at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas at the prison for 6 years. Then we went to Spain for a little over a year, and we returned to Scott Air Force Base here in Illinois.
Well, I was all over California in different places. I don't remember. Fresno and close to San Francisco and then Texas, 2 or 3 different places in Texas, and one in Ohio, different places like that. I don't remember all of them.
Other than the basic trainings and the advanced infantry training and that sort of stuff, I was stationed at Fort Benjamin Harrison, Indiana for about a year. I spent a year in Vietnam, and when I got got back home, I finished it out at Fort Sheridan by Chicago in Illinois, so I was pretty fortunate.
After basic training, I went to a landing ship, an LST, out of Little Creek, Virginia. And then after that, I went to a submarine tender based in New London, Connecticut. And I changed my job from being an engineman to becoming an aviation mechanic on airplanes. And then I went to air bases in Washington and California, different squadrons in Washington, California, and Memphis. Several different places where I was actually stationed and went on numerous deployments in different parts of the world.
And I didn't see him for the better part of a year sometime. He was off floating around. I served in California for a good part of it in several different duty stations, including Camp Pendleton, El Toro, MCSH Tustin, California, and the 4th Light Anti-Aircraft Missile Battalion in San Jose. Then in Okinawa, where I was shipped temporary additional duty over to Korea for 3 months, then back to Okinawa, and then back home.
How old were you when you were enlisted?
19.
And I was 17.
I was 19.
How old were you when you enlisted?
18.
Same here, I just turned 18 years old.
What were some of your duties or responsibilities while you served?
I was an Air Force Security Forces person. I was mainly involved in law enforcement. I drove a patrol car, stand installation gates. I did do combat duty. And then after I was a patrolman for quite a while, law enforcement, I turned into a trainer. And I trained the rest of my career. What were your duties in the hospital?
I was a billy gunner on a B-24, in the volunteer they called it. And that's about it.
Like I said earlier, I was a military policeman. On state side, I served regular police duties, which I absolutely did not like. But in Vietnam, like I said, I'd done some police duties for the first month, and I got out of that, and I wanted to get on the convoy crew. And like I said, all we done there was escorted convoys from fire base to fire base, and from ammo dump to fire base.
My first duty station after basic training, I was an engineman. We're responsible for maintaining all the engines on the ship, as well as auxiliary equipment. I served on 2 different ships in that capacity. After 6 years of being in the engine room, I thought I'd like to see a little daylight. So I changed my job duties to aviation machinist mate or jet engine mechanic. And I served the balance of my career as a mechanic on airplanes, and then I moved into maintenance administration.
It was a field wireman, wire communications, old telephone systems, unlike these new phones that we have now. We had to have wires running to every one of them. I served as communication NCO for a while, was in charge of all wire and MUX, multi-channel radio communications for a short time. Barracks NCO and gun crew chief. I had 4 other gunners under me.
What opportunities did you have while you were in, and did you get to travel?
Had all sorts of opportunities that I didn't take, a few that we did, and the travel was probably one of the best parts of serving during peacetime. And yes, we get to travel some. Okinawa and Korea. I can't remember that Air Force base in Japan. Yokota? There for a while, and then that's about it.
a lot of opportunities in 29 years, mostly education, a lot of good education in the military if you take the opportunity. There's a lot of opportunities for advancement, and the more education you get, the more experience you get, the better the opportunities are for advancement. And yes, I traveled to just about all parts of the world.
I probably had a few opportunities, not so many, but I guess the biggest opportunity I had was to kind of see how the rest of the world lived. In the year in Vietnam, it was a whole totally different society over there, and human life didn't have a lot of meaning over there.
No, I didn't do any traveling to speak of outside of what where they took me to. I didn't do any traveling outside of what they kept me to do.
My family and I did a lot of traveling. We traveled from Germany into, I went to the Netherlands, they did not. Went to northern France. When I was in Spain, we got to travel a little bit down there too, mostly to the beach. When I went to Saudi Arabia, I went to Bahrain. So I did quite a bit of traveling, mostly with the family.
What did you love about being in the military?
Well, I loved being around all the people. You have to be a team member. You have to learn to get along with everybody, regardless of the race or color or religion. You have to get along with them because you're going to be fighting with them. So you got to be tight with your partners.
What's the question?
What did you love about the military?
No, nothing special. Nothing special.
I basically loved the people that I met. Like I said, I still communicate with several of them from stateside and from Vietnam, and it's I guess in hindsight, it's a experience I'm glad I had.
I really didn't love the military. I appreciated it, and I was glad to have the opportunity to serve a lot of good people, a lot of good teams that it's expressed, especially in the military. It's a team.
Agreed. The camaraderie is one of the best parts. Developing a brotherhood with people that you didn't even know before that you're willing to die for. Second part of it that I did love is standing for something bigger than myself. Standing up for God, family, and country. That I love.
As a final note, I'd like to thank the administrators, the teachers that were involved in this, the students for all your good questions, and hope this gets back to you in a good way. Thank you very much.